Hey, what's up, everybody? The V Club here, coming at you with another video. So here we are. Let's talk about it. All right, it's about anything and everything. That's why I'm in the Villain Club, because sometimes you may agree with what I say, sometimes you may disagree with what I say, but I'm all open to talk about it. And again, it's about anything and everything, lifestyle, entertainment, you name it. We could talk about it. Come to me. Hey, we could talk about anything. Anyhow, let's just get to it here. V Club, subscribe, hit the bell icon. That way you can stay on top of your daily content here. Or I try to do daily content when I can. Alright, I mean, where do we begin, man? I mean, like, when you look at everything we got going on, whew, drones flying everywhere. I mean, we could talk about a little bit of everything. How about that? We'll go through the losers rounds, all right? For example, Mayor Johnson of Chicago was able to pass his budget, but it wasn't like an easy road. But he had to really make some deals with some aldermans to sway votes to help support passing this budget. All right, and of course, many aldermen voted against it, but I think it barely passed by 2 aldermen. They have like 30-some aldermen, and majority passed by 2, I believe is what they said, to pass this budget that wasn't going to pass. And yeah, it's just criminal what Brandon Johnson's doing in Chicago. People are hating their situation, even though they voted. They kind of get what they voted for, right? But at the same time, Johnson, this is a plain idiot. All right, because he's not really following what the people want. Rather, he's just trying to really just cater towards, well, himself, and then the teachers union, because that's where his background came from, is the teachers union. So he'll support those constituents, and other than that, everyone else could bite him. All right, he supports illegals. He's really defying what Trump will be instituting, which is removal of illegals through mass deportation come January. But idiots like Johnson been doubling down and trying to stand their ground and double down. So I hope, yeah, he eats his words too and step aside. Because it's not going to look good when he gets locked up. He's going to try to martyr himself and all that. But this dude's so full of shit. He's trash as mayor, right? Any of these blue city mayors are trash. All right. And speaking of which, check this one out here. Final day in office. Let's go take a look at this. See what Miss Sheng Tao has to say. Oakland mayor. Former Oakland mayor who got recalled for doing a piss poor job running Oakland. Man, Oakland is just a dump.
Oakland Mayor Sheng Tao's last day in office after voters approved a recall effort in November. KTVU's Jenna Katsuyama met up with Mayor Tao at City Hall for a final interview and joins us from the newsroom with more. Jenna?
Claudine, I spoke with Mayor Tao when she first took office and now again on her final day. She told me that despite the recall, she says she has no regrets and is proud of what her team accomplished during her term. In her final hours as Oakland mayor, Sheng Tao shared her thoughts on her rise from an intern in 2012 to city council member to the mayor's office.
I'm very proud of my team because we led with our values and we were unapologetic about it.
Her last day was filled with meetings as she now
Kamala
leaves after a recall saw 60% of voters wanting for her to step down. Tao says she is proud of the work that she's done as mayor.
I'm most proud of resurrecting our ceasefire strategy because it saved hundreds hundreds of lives, and not just that, but has brought down crimes.
Tao also pointed to the partnership on the Oakland Ballers sports team stadium.
Because we finished that renovation of the Oakland Baller Stadium in 6 months. And, a lot of people didn't think that that could happen.
And she says she's proud of her work to find housing for homeless people in Oakland.
We brought down and took down the largest encampment in Northern California at Wood Street, my first 3 months in office. And then we housed everyone. And now over 100 units of affordable housing is there. And so there's a lot to be proud of.
Tao has faced criticism with her firing of Police Chief LaRon Armstrong that led to his suing the city, a missed deadline for Oakland to receive grant funding, a budget crisis, and an FBI raid of Tao's home in an investigation that is still unclear and which Tao says does not target her.
I don't regret any of those decisions because I was always putting the city of Oakland at the forefront and not politics.
On Tuesday, supporters from the mayor's faith council came for a final meeting and prayer.
For her leadership around stopping violence in Oakland, and we wish her all the best.
It was just great. It was just a moving moment for me.
Her supporters say Tao often doesn't get credit for the small acts of kindness she did as mayor, noting in her final week she spent time delivering toys to 300 families in need.
For her to step up to the plate to make sure she give them an ounce of care and some hope, going forward, I think that's a major display of what she has done during her tenure for the city of Oakland.
And Mayor Tao still has some final business tonight before she steps down. The city council is meeting and voting on several policy and budget items, as we told you. Well, Tao is the tie-breaking vote, so she will be filling that duty until the meeting ends tonight. And as for what comes next, she says she plans to stay in Oakland, focus on her family, and supporters are hoping that she will run again for office. Claudine.
All right, Janet Katsuyama reporting live. Thanks so much for that. So what...
Oh, let me see, Horace. I cut this off a little earlier. Let's see.
Comes next for the city. We expect the city council to declare the election results tonight, at which point Council President Nikki Fortunato Bass will officially become the interim mayor of Oakland. But because Bass is leaving to become a supervisor in Alameda County, the city will need another interim mayor. So on January 6th, Oakland's new city council will be sworn in, and then those council members will elect a new interim mayor, and that person will then serve until a special election is held on April 15th. Whoever wins that election will complete the current term as Oakland's mayor through January of 2027.
Wow, so if she didn't get recalled, she would have been mayor till 2027? Damn, that's a long time of destruction of an already trash city as it is. So 60% of the people disagree with all those positive words that were being said about her, because if she was that much beloved, she wouldn't have been recalled. So obviously she did a terrible job in Oakland. And I mean, if you truly, I'm not trying to make shit up, if you guys really drive into Oakland and see what it looks like, it's just a dump. All right, I can't put it in any other words except that's just what it is, a straight dump. And when you want to highlight those positives they mentioned in that news clip, how about all the negatives, right? They claim crime has gone down. Crime has gone up. All right. The budget is blown because they are, a blue city, and blue cities, all right, which are progressive cities, they're all about defunding police, increasing crime. They're all about illegals being sanctuary cities, and being that California is a sanctuary state, right? They have a blown budget, so there's no other way around it. They let 3 ball teams leave. They let the Oakland Raiders leave. They let the Warriors leave. Golden State Warriors. Now they're so. Let me go back. Take a step back. All right. Warriors left Oakland Coliseum to go to San Francisco. Now they're in San Francisco playing there. All right. Then the Raiders left to Vegas. And then the final nail in the coffin for the Oakland Coliseum is they play their last game here this year, 2024, as they are temporarily moving to Sacramento just to get out of the Coliseum. And I think they're still trying to make a deal to go to Vegas as well. All right, so that tells you that Oakland is terrible negotiators, because they couldn't negotiate any deal to keep the team, any of those teams in Oakland. And as trash as Oakland is, you're telling me that you can't bulldoze a certain area of Oakland to build a stadium on, to keep the team happy, to keep the team playing in that respective city? Terrible negotiations, right? That's where you lose a lot of revenue that help play a part in building the city budget. Defunding police doesn't help anything, because when you defund police, what happens? Crime goes up. And so they're going to say, oh, what are you talking about? The crime's gone down. Well, it's underreported now. And we could go through the whole process of all that shit, but we're not going to go talk about that, because we've talked about it many, many times, that there's this sort of inverse opposite that happens, right? You defund police, what happens? Crime goes up. If you fund police, crime goes down. They are short-staffed into really trying to keep law and order in Oakland, because they don't have the money to give to them, and they're in a budget deficit that they're still trying to work through in terms of negotiating a new budget, determining cuts and all that stuff. I think they're at a verge of filing for bankruptcy. So they're in some troubled waters right now. All right. And looking at this, it's not going to get any better. So what do you got to do to help fix the budget? Because you got no ball teams. You have all these social programs that maybe you should just cut. Stop paying for these programs. That way you can really focus on essential services for the city. Maybe cut some staff, because typically Democrats don't like to fire people, right? You really got to twist their arm to fire people, to cut staff, do all this shit. All right. Let's see if the sentiments hold true about what they say. Bye. Doesn't matter who mayor is. Oakland's a mess, right? Why is Oakland such a mess? If she worked like she talked, Oakland would be a great place. I mean, so yeah, people disagree with all that positivity they all said there. All right. It's just a complete dump. What did she really accomplish? She did a great job. Oakland will always be a mess with any mayor in office. She did a great job? What are you talking about? This is great right here. Tal gone, Breed gone. Breed's the San Francisco mayor. She got voted out. They voted someone in for San Francisco mayor. Harris gone, right? No more Harris for vice president. She's gone. A way to end 2024, right? Well, yeah, so you see those kind of comments, right? Yeah, so these blue cities are a mess. Blue states are a mess. All right. They have budget problems. New York, Seattle. I mean, you name it. I mean, they all like to spend. They all don't like accountability. And when they like to blame, they like to blame it on other people. Yeah, so that's what you got there. Funny as hell, though, right? But yeah, so we got drone problems. All right, so drone issues. Many drones are flying around the sky at night. I guess if you see it all in the daytime, then it's bad, right? Because you're like, what the hell is all these things flying around the sky? I think there's more air traffic. Well, no, you can't really say there's more air traffic in the daytime. Um, yeah, it's just I don't know. Supposedly, the new story with drones is that there's some nuclear weapons gone missing, right? And they're using those drones to kind of fly around to detect any sort of like nuclear. What do you call that? Um, Man, what do you call? Trying to think of the name, the terminology used. Um, any sort of like uh, trail, any sort of just evidence that the drones can pick up. Um, that kind of show like a trail of where the nuclear weapons can possibly be, right? Supposedly, that, but we don't know. It's just funny though, all these things that are happening. I was reading a thing where in San Francisco they were closing down another Safeway store in San Francisco. One they were about to close down earlier this year, and then the residents fought for it to keep it open because they said, "Oh, it's going to be a food desert and all this shit." And you know, the city supervisor, one of the San Francisco city supervisors, I guess that represent that area of San Francisco, rushed and put into policy for the city that you got to give a 6 month notice or some bullshit if you're looking to close up your store. Um, and if you don't do that, then you got to pay some sort of fee or fine or some bullshit. And so it forced Safeway's hand into keeping that store open despite all the problems that that particular Safeway was having at that location, which is surprising to me because when you look at the area, it's a decent area. I know exactly where that Safeway is at in San Francisco. It's across the street from Japantown. I wouldn't have thought that it's a bad area because it's actually not a bad area, but I guess it is because theft is super high in that store. When you're looking at in the tunes of a loss of like $7,000 a day, that adds up, you know. And if it's been happening daily for months and months and months, that shit adds up. Losses, right? And stores in general, especially corporations that own the stores, of course, you're in the business of making money because you're not in the business of losing money and cater to people losing money, right? That's what the whole idea of running a business is. You're there to make money. So if it's not making money and you're losing money, what happens? It closes up. So you can't just say, oh, you got to stay open because if you don't, you're a food desert and you're forcing them to stay open and all this shit when it doesn't make sense business wise to stay open. Any numbnut can figure that shit out, that you can't run a business if you're losing money. But Gavin Newsom is such an idiot, and all these other blue city progressives are such idiots that, again, they don't know how to run a budget because every city, every state, every sort of thing you do has a budget. And if you overspend that budget, obviously it messes things up. It causes a problem, all right, financially, where you got to come back and fix it, right? And that's what's happening with all these things right now, all right? Like the Brandon Johnson passing the Chicago budget. You think that was an easy pass? No. He went through some crap, all right, but at the same time, um, it really showed that he overspent, because you wouldn't have overspent if you knew how to budget better instead of paying for illegals, paying all these different programs. I mean, it makes sense, right? So I'm just saying. So that's what's happened there. With this budget shit, the Safeway closing, because it doesn't make sense, right? People got to make money, and so it's funny how that is. But yeah, all the headlines that are happening right here. All right, crazy stuff. Oh, and by the way, the CEO murder, the United Healthcare murder, the shooter, the murderer, the suspect, just got indicted on murder charges. Surprisingly, coming from New York, damn, man, you figured they'd be soft. I think, to me, though, without the surveillance footage from all the various places that has surveillance, piecing together the puzzle, if it wasn't for the surveillance, I would think New York would say, "Oh, we got no evidence," even though they have physical evidence. They're gonna say there's not enough proof. They're gonna come up with some bullshit like it's not enough proof, even though they have the gun and they have the bullets and they have all this stuff, right? They would come out if there was no there's no like video evidence. All right, it would have been so funny. You know, for a fact that Alvin Bragg of New York would have been like, it's not enough evidence, right? They're not, even though there's plenty of evidence. But that's how soft New York is. It kind of forced his hand to actually go ahead and just throw the book at that Luigi Jew that murdered the healthcare CEO. Because when you look at it, it was just straight up execution, shot in the back of the head. Didn't see it coming, and yeah, it's just bad. And then when you read about everything about what he was doing, what he was trying to do, and when they piece together everything about how the murderer kind of had everything kind of planned out, and that's how he got himself like in position to kill the CEO, is because he staked out a certain area, he waited, right, till that CEO comes out to go walk, right, to go whatever. Then he caught up with him, pulled out his weapon, fired at the guy, at the CEO, and then killed him, and then tried to run away and took a taxi across town. And then like nearly 2 weeks later was in Pennsylvania, and he got found by another person who happens to work there and be like, hey, that looks like that guy, and call the police, and that's how they captured that guy, right? So we got drones, we got the CEO murderer, we have Johnson the clown, and Shang Tao's last day. I don't care what anybody says, I bang her, but that's just me though. But yeah, Blue City incompetence. Alright, look at this. Walmart body worn cameras out of Walmart employees now. I mean, how ridiculous is that? You know what I'm saying? It's like, it just gets crazy. Besides everything getting locked up, you know, and shelves, right? They're all locked up. What's this? $20 wage law, 6,000 jobs lost, fast food exodus in California. Good. All right, that's another blue city decision, or blue state decision made by Gavin Newsom. And what else is there? I guess we'll just go off with this right here, right? We'll end it with this right here. I always like to end with a laugh or begin with a laugh. So let's do this right here. Little quick one. Little 1 minute bite. What point was Kamala Harris even trying to get
For
across?
people, they are going into their third year of this pandemic. You're talking about cost of living. Was it wrong to consider inflation transitory? I mean, these price spikes seem like they're going to be with us for a while.
We have to address the fact that we got to deal with the fact that folks are paying for gas, paying for groceries, and need solutions to it. So let's talk about that. Short-term solution includes what we need to do around the supply chain, right? So we went to the ports of Los Angeles, Long Beach, Savannah, Georgia, and said, hey guys, no more 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, 24/7. Let's move the products because people need their they need what they need. We're dealing with it in terms of the long term, and that's about what we need to do to pass Build Back Better. It strengthens our economy.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
We have to address the fact that we got to deal with the fact that folks are paying for gas, paying for groceries.
Yeah, that whole blob of words she just said did not make any sense whatsoever about how to address inflation during the pandemic. And didn't even take back that it was transitory, and was talking about you got to push the products out but not work 5 days a week, and it's like you're saying a whole lot of bullshit here. But anyhow, I just wanted to leave it at that. Yeah. Wow. I mean, these progressives, man, these clowns, they're just a bunch of morons, and it's just proof on display. Look at Gavin Newsom, look at Johnson, right? Kamala, Shang Tao. I mean, that's just proof in the pudding right there for you. I mean, what more do you need to show proof that you got a bunch of dummies as politicians that worked in office for supposedly the betterment of us, but yet it was the destruction of the state, if you're Gavin Newsom, the city, if you're Shang Tao and Johnson, and then the United States, if you're Kamala. I mean, it really shows how incompetent and just dumb they all are. Anyhow, that's your latest update here. Thought I'd share that with you guys. Thanks. Comment down below. Subscribe and hit the bell icon. Stay on top of this daily, and I'll see you next one.